Oh, how you doing? You right?
We are live.
We are indeed.
We'll let everyone come on. Good afternoon, Facebooky work. I love doing these. I've been trying to do these every Friday, but hasn't gone that way. But my 2020 goal, every Friday, a Facebook Live, chatting to one of our agents. They were joined by Rob Wells.
Hi, how you doing?
We're going to talk for a load of property market predictions, how this first, what's the date today? 10th. How the first 10 days has been in 2020, which is pretty awesome. We'll go into more details about that. We want to take you through a situation recently happened where Rob had a great market launch of a house. Was that before Christmas or after Christmas?
Just before Christmas, 2 weeks before.
Just before Christmas. Rob had a bit of pneumonia over Christmas, so his husky voice is going to get the ladies excited. We're going to go over that. We're going to go over each of our biggest pieces of advice for people looking to sell their house. Pretty buzzy office today. We've also got, can I say this? Yeah, I can. We've got a surprise little baby shower for one of our members of the team later on. So she won't be on the live, will she?
Maybe not.
No.
I hope not.
She's currently driving to go and drop some keys off for loads of completions today. So let's hope, because otherwise I'm going to get it in the neck. So let's kick off. Anyone got any? I'm going to quickly go to my comments because I don't think comments feed in on here. I'm using this nice bit of software. Let me go to the live feed. I'm going to make sure everyone can hear me before we kick off. A few more people are going to come on, so bear with thy. Any questions you do have about selling, I've sent this out to our email list. So if you've got any questions or want my advice or Rob's advice or anyone's advice, there's Anwar that's coming into the office, New Homes Land Guru. Drop the questions in and we'll just have a little bit of a free roll, nice and relaxed. Today, we've also got, can I say this? Yeah, I can. Yeah, streaming live. Sounding good.
Good.
Have I shared it? Right. Rob, you start while I'm doing this. How has 2020 started?
To me, it started great. We've had a really good start with, certainly with higher end of properties. So really in sort of a couple of £1 million properties. Equestrian facilities have been good as well. The advantage is covering the majority of Sussex, some down in Chichester, some local to our area as well. It's been a nice little spread. Couple of completions have already happened. Solicitors are back moving quick again. We've already had a couple of exchanges come through as well. So yeah, it's been a great start. So let's hope it continues the same way.
I think the end of the year was really interesting because a lot of what we were projecting and a lot of people wanted to move before Christmas, but delays in conveyancing and whatever else maybe pushed them into January. But it's still a really good end to the year. But it seems like on what was Monday's date? Because that was a date seemed to have kicked off. Yeah, the 6th. Buyers and sellers were back. They're like, right, I want to get moved now in January. We've had 3-4 completions today, which is rare for a so early in January. Normally it's a back end of January got completions.
Yeah.
So I'm really surprised by how positive, and that's off the back of the election, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was saying to Rob before we went live that what I'm using to summarise the 2020 market, or what I'm feeling, is that towards the back end of 2019, most people, a lot of buyers were kind of sitting on their hands, watching what happens with the election and Brexit and stuff like that. I kind of feel like in January, people have taken one of those hands from under their bum, and now they're looking to get a bit more involved in the market. We had I think about 137 viewings Saturday just gone. We had 9 people out back to back. All of those are from inquiries over the weekend. Over the Christmas period.
Yeah.
So really positive. If you're a betting man, Rob, which you are,
I definitely am.
Then this 2020 market, what do you think it's going to do come the end of this year?
I agree with you. I think there's definitely a bit more confidence now. I think a lot of people got bored towards the end of the year because of Brexit, and I think the fact that I'm in agreement, the fact that we're certainly stepping in the right directions, and prices and achieving the prices over the asking price as well. I think we could be in for a good year. I don't think we're going to be hitting the 10% increase of what people might be hoping for within the year, but I certainly think we'll be sitting somewhere between the 5 to 10% increase. There's still not a huge amount of properties on the market, in my opinion.
Supply is still low.
I think speaking to other agents as well, there've been a few that it seems to be the more confident movers who want to move, and serious buyers and sellers are coming forward and out the woodwork
and then they're coming together and doing good deals, aren't they?
Absolutely. I think the key element for us is to take people out to property which are, they may not be necessarily on the market yet because they want to see what's going on out there. But it's been good going back to the property that we sold over the asking price. A number of them were not even on the market, but it's encouraged them to have valuation. So I think it could be setting itself up for a really good year.
That's a really good thing that Rob touched on there, because we deal with a lot of sellers and they're like, I don't want to, on the appraisal meeting, we go, I give them advice, and I don't want anyone seeing my house that's not under offer, on the market, or some people are like who are proceedable, as in they have to be under offer. And our advice has always been the same, because we're a company in all the viewings. Let us waste our time. Like, if that seller thinks that person's a waste of time, they really aren't. There's no such thing as a wasted person viewing your house, as long as they're qualified properly and we know they're are looking to buy at some point in the next 6 to 12 months, and not just your next door neighbour trying to see what you've done to your kitchen. But the reason for that is because it's so important that buyers fall in love with houses. They see a house and think, right, this is the one I want. I'll put my house on the market. Rob, you said it's worth 500 grand. I'll go on at 475 because I really don't want to lose this house. Mm-hmm. The whole time you haven't got any other offers to consider, you may or you're under offer, you might as well continue letting people see your house. I've had buyers that have left houses, loved it, with houses to sell, but end up doing bridging finance to make sure they don't lose the house that they now see their family living in for the next 10, 15 years. So that's a really good point, as in, if you're on the market currently and you're in that mindset of you've only been allowing your agent to show people that are proceedable, open that out a bit and say, right, open my doors, let people see who are not on the market yet, who are on the market. It's really important, because also the feedback from those people, based on how your house sits compared to other houses you're competing against, is still really, really valuable. So that's a really point.
On that, we had a good result with a couple of properties in a relatively new development recently. Properties have been on the market for a period of time. And they're also still building new properties in that road, so they've got the Help to Buy scheme running through them as well. So
that your client's competing against, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So by introducing buyers I believe in price guides. I know they're not everyone's biggest favourite, not everyone's biggest fan, sorry, shall I say.
I think they're really good done right, and we're going to talk to you about how to do them right in a minute. So,
price guides to me work really well in the fact that we had the competition with a number of buyers who wanted to buy this property when there's still brand new properties which the government prepared to help with it on the Help to Buy scheme, that people preferred our property. So again, it's just key to get the marketing price so correct. And in my opinion, there's no point putting your house on the market at the same price as another house which has been on the market for 3 months. Don't be afraid to put it on for a lower price, because trust me, you will get more activity. The more activity, the more offers will come in, and that puts you in a much better position when you come to offering your next property.
What's really interesting, so and that ties in really well. And we'll talk you through an example Rob had recently where he done exactly that and got £70,000 over the marketing price. And you have to, when you set out to sell your house, you've got to try and detach the asking price from the marketing price. So it's very old school now. People still think my asking price is $499,950 and I wanted to take $475. The price you attach to your house, price is there to entice, right? So that's my biggest bit of advice, is it's there to get buyers through the door, period. The price you attach to your house has absolutely no relevance to what it's actually worth. So let's say I've got a £500,000 house, and I can market it, it's my house, at 750 grand if I would like to. It's my house, has no relevance to the value of it. Equally, my 500 grand house, I could market it at 250, and there'll be such a stampede. The offers will probably go up to kind of 480, because it's still good value at that price based on what else is available in the market. So buyers will try and negotiate, and we'll cover that in a minute. They'll say, oh, it's on at 500, 450, I'll offer 430. But what they're prepared to pay for it won't have no relevance at all to the price you attach to it. And that's where good negotiation comes in. And you might see over here, where's my finger?
Yeah.
Over there. I can't even do it.
Down there.
Yeah. All our team are advanced certified negotiators. So it's really important that guide prices don't work unless they're done in the right way.
Absolutely.
And that leads us on nicely. We're only 10 minutes in to our next little bit. Is the how Rob achieved £70,000 over marketing price. And before we get into this, I've had a few little comments, which is fine, saying, "Oh, you must have underpriced it." For one, you don't really know what a house is worth till you go on the market, obviously, and two, we didn't. So it's important to understand from the initial pricing advice that Rob gave to his client through to eventual sale price. And if we hadn't done a guide price on it, it probably would never have gone as high as it did.
Absolutely not.
So take us through that from initial appraisal assessment and pricing advice to what you ended up at.
Well, I think it starts off with it's key for your estate, the trust to be with the estate agent as it is with us, with putting our trust in you.
Trust, yeah.
And the advice that we are there because I believe it's not possible to underprice a property because it will always determine more activity, as you said earlier. So I think, the best thing you can do is pitch what the last property sold for in your road and actually put it slightly lower within that price point, not a 249,995. It needs to be a 250, for an example, because you need to be at that price point, determine the lower end of the bracket and the higher end of the bracket. So that's the first thing to do. That will drive the people through the door to start off with. And set your price, the higher end of the bracket, to where you think it's going to be or what you want to achieve. So if you're looking to achieve 275, for example, put on a 250 to 300,000, and hopefully you'll end up somewhere with the art of negotiation, somewhere in the middle, depending on the activity. You might hopefully get what we did with this property and over.
But the interesting thing is you've got more chance of doing that than you have at putting it on at 300 asking and taking 275. And more importantly, you get the choice most likely of buyer because you might have, in this instance, there was 5 separate offers on the property.
Yeah.
So the seller gets choice.
Totally. And one of the things we were discussing earlier, statistically, 1 in 3 properties will fall through. That may not necessarily be you, but that might be your buyer or your buyer. And if you've got this opportunity, if you've got an option of 4 or 5 offers on the table, at least there's a chance or a greater chance of you keeping your chain together. So you're going to be able to bring the transaction forward to exchange and complete the sooner time scale rather than the national average of the 12, 16 weeks. You still might be able to do it within the 8 to 10, which is typically what we do it within.
So 3 separate offers gives you a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. Whereas 1 offer gives you a plan A, and let's hope, cross them fingers, that plan A goes to plan. But 30-40% of the time, done.
Yeah, totally. And I think one of the things that is key to mention in this is if I had a pound for every time someone said to me, if I put my property on the market at 250 to 300,000, I'm only going to get offers at 250, which is absolutely right. You would do. But getting an offer, it gives us something to work with. It shows that we've got someone who's committed to want to buy your property. And to me, that's a good stepping stone. We've literally just completed on 2 properties this afternoon, which was one was on at 700 to 750, completed at 725. We did it at 700 to 750 because there was another house on the road at 750, which had got conservatory, had a large extension on the side. Probably would have cost about 25 to 30 grand to do, I would have thought, to do a kitchen extension on the side. And again, it got that price. Another one, 800, obviously in excess of 800,000, went at 807,500. Been on the market with another agent for a long time at a fixed price. We dropped it.
What was that price? For 850,
850,000, yeah.
But the whole time the sellers were happy to accept a lower offer if the right offer come along and the right kind of buyer. What I can't stress is when you launch a house on the market, this is where guide prices don't work. If your agent is looking for a sale, sounds crazy, right? But the agent's got to be looking for the best outcome for them and you. And you might assume that all agents are doing that, and a lot of them are. There's a lot of great agents, but a lot of agents just want to hit their sales agreed quota for that month so they get their bonus. So the guide prices don't work if the agency is looking for just getting a buyer. Our agents, we're quite public about, they work with us. They're all self-employed. Rob's got his own company. He works alongside Power Bespoke, and Rob don't want the aggravation of having obviously to re-agree a sale 3 times when it falls through. So choosing the right buyer from the start, not always is at the highest figure either. I've had it where I might have 5 offers and we took the 4th highest offer because they had an extra 20% deposit, and the chances of that falling through were less. or there was no chain involved in the slightly lower offer. You've got to look at each buyer on their merits, which is why with these guide pricing strategies, or I like offers in excess of personally, but each agent's got their own way of doing it. As long as the outcome is achieved for the client, that's all that matters. You need multiple offers because you're there to give the client the outcome that suits them. And buyers are like, oh, I don't want to get into a bidding war. Like, we really dislike bidding wars as well. We would rather every buyer just come to us and say, look, I love the house. The most I can afford is this price. And we have set our limit at that. And I know there's more offers. Hopefully we get it. If we don't, it's not meant to be. We don't like playing tennis with buyers because it's an emotional thing. But it's our job as agents or good agents not to get the seller a buyer. It's to get the seller the right buyer to enable them to do what they're doing. So some sellers are moving abroad, so they really would prefer a no chain buyer. Some sellers have not found a house yet, so they're quite happy to wait and take a buyer that's not yet on the market themselves, because whilst they're looking for a house to buy, their buyer can be looking for a buyer for their house, and it all ties up. So each situation is different, but the guide pricing you touched on a minute ago, which is really important about guide pricing and pricing in general when you're selling your house, is that price is opinionated. So Rob said just then that the other house had a conservatory and it'll probably be 35 grand. Well, for Mr. and Mrs. Jones, it might be 50 grand because their standards are like through the roof. They want marble floors and everything. Whereas for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, their dad owns a conservatory company and it costs them 10. So when you price guide, you're not saying you know the price of the house, because I'm not buying it, Rob's not buying it, the seller's not buying it because they're trying to sell it. And there's always three prices when you sell a house. The seller's price, which tends to be up here, understandably, they love their house.
Yep.
The buyer's price, which will start down here, and it's getting our job to get them to there. And then there's the middle price, which generally is the market price, which is where the 2-3% difference with a good agent, good negotiator, good strategy, multiple offers. I'm not saying a bidding war, multiple offers, very different.
Yeah.
Get the best outcome.
It's a horrible word, bidding war, because you don't want it to be someone's home.
No one likes a bidding war.
No.
I mean, the word war. I mean,
doesn't sound good, does it?
There's enough war going on at the minute with Trumpy.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it's really important to understand that guide price is done correctly. Now, what isn't right, and I'm really hot about this, is that the lower end of the bracket has to be a figure that the seller isn't adverse to potentially accepting if it helps them get to their next chapter. What I mean by that is, let's say we sometimes get mandated to not pass on any offers below a certain figure.
Yeah.
Right. So legally obliged, any offer up until exchange of contract, we've got to pass to our client, unless they mandate you to say, I do not want to hear of any offers under 350. Say you guide price something and for 325 to 375, the seller's got to be prepared to consider a 325, because it might be that I say to clients, if that offer was 325 cash and they'll through solicitors, obviously, and they'll complete in 2 weeks, that could then get you 50,000-60,000 pound off the house you want to buy, because they're divorcing and they really want to get out. And if they say, look, okay, I would consider that as an option, let's hope we haven't got to take it, because I would ideally want 350 plus, then it's fine to guide price that low. If they say, absolutely, I'll take it off the market and I won't sell unless I get at least 350, then I wouldn't guide price it that low. I would be doing offers in excess of 350. But the idea there is to understand that you put a house to market, there's more buyers than there are houses, I think, starting to come back into the market. There was a time when there was more buyers than there were more houses than there were buyers, but supply and demand starting to tip back in, that the buyers are coming back into the market.
Yeah.
And you put it to market and you don't know what it's worth until a buyer says, I like that place. I've been looking for ages for a place in this road, and I'll pay a bit of a premium because I need to live in this road because my mum lives 2 roads away, versus the guy that's looking in the whole of Horsham. So it's really price, house value is very opinionated, and a guide price it enables you to have that high end for that person that really wants it, and then the middle range for the general perceived comparable based market value, and the lower end for that buyer that will do it in 2 weeks, indemnify everything and buy it cash.
So just on that though, one of the things we all know with a lot of vendors, they sometimes want a bit more than we potentially might be able to get. Because not everyone's going to do a price guide at the end of the day. However, one of the things I've learned doing this job is not to be too precious over your asking price, because ultimately if you're looking at 450, so 500,000, we use an example. I'm not going to sell for any less than 500,000, but I want to buy at 600. Well, if you can get an offer at 475, we're not saying accept it, we're not saying decline it. Go and have a look at a couple of properties first of all. Come back to us. Let me have a conversation with the vendor, with the estate agent, because there's a very good chance we might be able to get the £25,000 difference off the saving on the purchase.
So the end outcome's the same.
Yeah, so we end up with a differential rather than I need this figure and I want to pay that figure, because it works out. You get the same result.
Yeah, it's that end figure of what you're left with at the end that's really important.
Absolutely.
That's really. Similar situation is I printed this off because I'll probably do another live. Nicole's in the office today, but I'll do another live with her. But she's put this on the market. Really interesting situation. Going into it more deeply. I had 63 viewings, 102 people in total through that house on Saturday between 11 and 1.
Amazing.
And that's a record. You had 14, 15 viewings.
I was impressed.
That's a great launch for a market. Even a good Saturday launch with 6, 7, 8 viewings is really good.
Yeah.
14, 15, awesome. 63, unheard of. First time ever at Power Bespoke. But the point of that is, when she sat down and assessed the price for the seller, and the seller had other valuations as well. The highest valuation was 340, which was our valuation, and we thought that was pushing it a little bit. We said let's do offers in excess of 300,000, just offers in excess of. Let's not put a higher end cap on it. And if we had done, would have probably put 300 to 350 because we felt the value was around 340. If you get another 10 grand, great. It went crazy. It ended up going for 20% over the marketing price, which was £60,000. And the buyer is really content with that because that house needs work. The trouble with houses that need work is they can be a lot more saleable at times. Do you find? They can be more saleable, but clearly they're not going to get the same price as something that's got granite worktops in there. But how much it's going to take to do that house is very opinionated. It might cost me 50 grand, but Rob 25 grand because he does half of it himself and he just brings in people for the big jobs. I don't. These hands weren't made for hard work.
Nor mine there, to be fair.
So the point is, no one's going to tell you exactly. Not even a bank, although they have to value a place for survey purposes.
They normally find us an offer what we sold the last hour in the road.
Yeah, they call the agents anyway for their opinion. So it's what I love about price guiding or offers in excess of is you put your house to market, you put it through a process, which, this ain't about my face, by the way, but just the 11-step sale plan that we stick to is the same. Pro photography, block viewings, offers in excess of, or a guide price strategy, understanding that your asking price has no relation to the actual value of your house. The market will determine that. Strategic viewings. There's nothing wrong with showing other people that other people want to buy this property.
No. And on that, it's everyone wants what everyone else has. So
it's human behaviour, psychology, which is why people queue down. They tent outside Apple for a product relaunch. Because it becomes a real core. I must want that because everyone else wants it. And when you're buying a house, certainly I feel when I'm buying a house, I'd rather know that actually, if I need to sell the house, it's in demand rather than I'm being the only person who wants to buy that place. Sure. See what I mean? It's a real shift. And I'm not the biggest fan of open houses either, because I think if you're spending hundreds of thousands of pounds, you should be given the decency of being able to look at the place yourself for 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
But back-to-back viewings strategically on a Saturday, Sunday evening has the same effect. Buyers get their own time in the house, but they can see people are interested in the house as well.
Absolutely.
Which people think don't like, but I quite like it.
Also, one of the other things, it's all being well and good when we do these open days, but one of the things that we've also, if you think of last year finishing up, was door knocks as well. There's nothing wrong with taking the single door knock from someone if you're looking to sell on the road.
Yeah.
That
was awesome what you done there, yeah.
We had a client looking at a specific road, went out and did some door knocking down the road, as you well know. After taking the dog for a walk, really, more than anything else. And ended up chatting to a vendor, and next day came to the market, and then the following day he was under offer.
It's really interesting with those door knocks because that was epic. Like when you got a client that most people, when you say, great, I've got you a great buyer for your house, where you kind of looking and they say, I'd love to be in that road. That's awesome for an estate agent because rather than being, I've got no idea yet where I want to be, it's like, we've got to plan this. Which is fine, but when they say I want that road, you go and knock on a few doors. No pressure. Here's my card. Got a client. This guy actually perfect timing. He was just about to move abroad, I think, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And it was like funny that I could well do without having to go on the market and have all that viewings, and I've got a young family, and bring your client round. If the prices marry up, then we can get a deal, and they did. So, and that's really proactive estate agency. That's you can't do that sitting in Solihull.
No.
And from you've got to be local. You've got to know the market. You've got to know the rough prices of the roads. I'm just seeing if they've got any comments because we've got quite good viewers. So yeah, you might have to want to pause and rewind this because we do go at a pretty good pace because it's good. Right, 25 minutes. We've got 5 minutes left. It's 25 minutes. You know that.
It's gone pretty quick.
Time fly when you're enjoying yourself.
Certainly does.
Look, next bit. So that's how Rob achieved it. It wasn't underpriced it. Yes, the marketing price was very competitive in the market, but we didn't say to seller you're only going to get 350. We were like, let's see, and actually went on the above the higher end of the bracket through sheer demand.
Yeah,
so that's important to know. Rob, what's your biggest piece of advice for someone thinking of selling or moving this year? Let's finish on that note.
Just be careful that you aren't baffled by the estate agent that you have come around that tells you they're going to get you the highest price, because you can sit on the market for a long, long time. You could end up actually rejecting the offer for your property, which is actually the right price. Something that's happened recently to a house that we've taken onto the market of another agent. So, yeah, I just say you've got to trust the estate agent.
Let's do that thing.
Work on, I'm very fortunate. I work on a referral business, so I get a lot that comes through that people do trust me straight away. But make sure they give you proper comparables. What's sold in your road.
Ask them why. Why do you think that figure?
Where have they got this figure from? We took another property on the other day because a house had been overvalued by, in our opinion, £250,000. It was an anomaly in the area.
And that was in the millions, wasn't it? So 250 is like £100,000 place being 25 grand over value, but it's still a big chunk of money, and that's why I'm getting the interest.
But again, it goes about putting yourself at the price point. Obviously it says 1 million, you could end up at 1.1. If you can get the competitions and drive the people through. So totally. So for me,
don't be led down the garden path by...
Absolutely. Sometimes, actually, it's better to go with the lowest figure rather than the highest figure. Because the lowest figure, everyone looks at Rightmove, everyone looks at Zoopla, everyone looks at on the market, all the different web portals. We obviously do an awful lot of social media advertising, so we put it to people who may not even be thinking of moving. And then the end result could be so much greater, as we found so far with a number of properties this year.
And what's interesting with what Rob's saying there is, ask if it's too good to be true. It usually is. So most people know roughly, minus a little tweak for the rose tinted glasses because you love your house clearly, as I love my house. It's interesting. I spend my life educating people that just don't over expect too much. They see what the market says. I don't want you pitching your expectations here and being disappointed. Let's pitch them here and let's hope we can be elated when we go on the market and get more higher offers than that. But when I come to sell, I probably want my house on the market more than it probably should be. I'll need these guys to slow me down a little bit. Don't you worry. Yeah. But just ask them logically. Show me how you've come to that figure. Can you show me any real and take off the rose tinted glasses? So I sometimes speak to sellers because it helps you in the long run. It really does. I'm not saying your house, you need to look at it negatively, but if a house had just sold at 400,000 and it had a 2-story extension and another 200 square foot, and you're going to go on the market the same figure, that's just not logically right because it's 200 square foot bigger. So do price per square foot comparables, really good way of doing it to see where you should be marketing yourself. Just ask people, whenever you're given the price, say, great, can you show me how you arrived at that figure? You might be right, might be wrong, doesn't matter. I just want to see how you got there. And yeah, there's a blog on the website somewhere and it says something like your first offer could be your best offer. So some people think offers that come in the first week, 2 weeks through to marketing, if they wait another 3, 4, 5 weeks, they might get better offers. Usually 16 years and hundreds of property sales, I'd say 90% of when that happens, that's the best offer they're going to get in the market.
Yeah, I just quickly on that as well. When it we completed on the Mansion House, this was a 2-bedroom property in Chertsey. over £1 million, over almost £1,000 a month maintenance charge.
Pretty epic, though, isn't it?
Amazing place, amazing place. Loved it. Would have bought it myself if I had more money. But anyway, but yeah, that one there, we had an offer within 6 days of coming to the market. Cash buyer completes within 6 weeks.
Which at the time, back in the last year, was unheard of for $1 million+ market, right?
Yeah.
Anyone over $1 million, I'm saying, give it. Let's look at a 3-month campaign.
Especially with £1,000 a month maintenance charge, almost.
Yeah, and it come in really early.
Yeah. And again, it was allowed us to facilitate a move for the vendor who'd become a very good friend now, to be fair. And they're in their dream home. So,
and I think as a seller, that there's always that, and I empathise a lot because I think in the back of your mind, you probably was thinking, was there more out there? But if I'd waited longer, and the true answer is there might well have been, but the property that you wanted to buy might not have been there anymore.
Yeah.
So you've really got to think about outcome, fair, move on with my life, as opposed to could I have got another 10, 20, 30, 40 grand and then I lose my purchase, or the cost to live in the property might, in that respect, if it's £1,000 a month, 6 months is 6 more grand that he's spending maintenance fees. When you got to calculate all that into the equation. That's good. Then my biggest piece of advice, which has been the same for probably 16 years, is don't sign a long 12, 16, 20-week contract at best. And I say this, even though perhaps we do 1 second contracts, like if you're not happy, we'll take it off the market immediately. But at most, you should be signing a 4-week contract with an estate agent, ideally 0 week. But if you're going to sign one, make sure you screw them down to 4-week rolling with immediate notice, as opposed to 4 weeks with 4 weeks notice, which is 8 weeks. I don't know what agents say. I've got a 4-week notice. A 4-week contract, you haven't. You've got an 8-week contract because you'll give 4 weeks notice.
But there also are the contracts out there 0 week with 4-week cancellation periods as well. So be careful with them as well.
0 weeks with 25 weeks notice.
Yeah.
Just make sure. Make very clear, if I'm not happy at any time, can I walk away, pick up my keys and not be penalised and go to another estate agent or take it off the market?
Yeah.
That was 32 minutes exactly, Mr. Wells.
Yes.
Then we're really well. I'm going to try and do this next Friday with another agent, talking other situations, other areas. Rob's our partner agent for the kind of Horsham down to the Chichester coast area. Does loads around there, loads of recommendation. If anyone needs advice, drop him a call, message, and we're always there.
Absolutely.
Always leave comments on this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, because it's streaming to YouTube as well, subscribe to the channel, press a little, I'm trying to do what they do on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, press the little bell and you get notified, and we'll see you all soon.
Perfect.
Take care.
See you soon.